Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most baffling archaeological discoveries in recent memory. Picture this. You're in the middle of America's heartland, miles and miles from any major body of water. The last thing you'd expect to find buried beneath your feet is a ship, right? Well, get ready to have your mind blown, because that's exactly what happened. This isn't just a story about an old boat. It's a genuine historical enigma that has experts scratching their heads. So, how did a massive vessel end up stranded in a field, and what secrets has it been hiding for centuries? Stick around, because we're about to dig deep into this incredible mystery. The story begins in a place you'd least expect, a quiet, unassuming piece of farmland in the central United States. For generations, the land had been tilled, planted, and harvested. But one day, during a routine construction project, workers hit something big. At first, they thought it was just a large rock or maybe some old forgotten foundation. But as they excavated further, the unmistakable curved timbers of a ship's hull began to emerge from the soil. The crew immediately halted their work. They knew they had stumbled upon something extraordinary. News travels fast in small towns, and soon, word reached the state's archaeological department. When the first team of archaeologists arrived on site, they were met with a scene of utter disbelief. There, in a massive pit, lay the skeletal remains of a wooden ship, estimated to be over 70 feet long. The preservation was astonishing. The damp, low-oxygen soil had acted like a natural time capsule, protecting the wood from decay. This wasn't just a few scattered planks. It was a substantial portion of a vessel, complete with sections of the keel, ribs, and hull. The initial shock quickly gave way to a flurry of questions. What kind of ship was this? How old was it? And the million-dollar question, how on earth did it get here so far inland? The nearest navigable river was miles away, and there was no historical record of any major flood that could have carried a ship of this size to this location. The archaeologists set up a massive, painstaking excavation. Every shovelful of dirt was carefully sifted, every artifact catalogued. This wasn't just about recovering a ship. It was about piecing together a forgotten chapter of history. Using techniques like dendrochronology, which is the science of dating tree rings, they began to analyze the ship's timbers. The results were stunning. The wood was identified as a type of oak and pine common in the shipbuilding of the 18th and early 19th centuries. This immediately ruled out any ancient Viking theories and placed the vessel firmly within the early history of the United States. But that only deepened the mystery. The era of westward expansion was well underway, but transportation was primarily done via rivers, and later, canals and railroads. A ship this large simply had no business being where it was found. As the team dug deeper, they started finding personal artifacts that brought the ship's story to life. They unearthed ceramic fragments, clay pipes, leather shoe soles, and even old coins. Each item was a breadcrumb, a tiny clue left behind by the people who once sailed on this phantom vessel. The style of the pottery and the dates on the coins helped to narrow down the timeline even further, pointing to a period roughly between 1790 and 1820. This was a time of immense change in America, a period when the young nation was still exploring its vast territories. The artifact suggested a crew engaged in trade or transport, not a warship. But what were they transporting, and to where? The location still made absolutely no sense. One of the lead archaeologists, Dr. Alistair Finch, described the find as geographically impossible. He explained in an interview, "We've mapped out all known waterways from that period, historical and modern. None of them come within a dozen miles of this site. We've considered everything: flash floods, rerouted rivers, even the possibility the ship was being transported overland in pieces, though that seems highly improbable for a vessel of this size." The team was at a genuine impasse. Every logical explanation led to a dead end. This wasn't just an archaeological puzzle, it was a geographical paradox. The breakthrough came from an unlikely source, a local town historian and amateur cartographer. While poring over old hand-drawn maps from the late 1700s stored in the county archives, he noticed something peculiar. On one particularly old and fragile map, a thin blue line was drawn, marking a small, unnamed tributary that was absent from all later maps. This tributary appeared to snake much closer to the discovery site than any known river. Could this be the key? The Historical Society cross-referenced the map with old land surveys and geological reports. Their findings were astonishing. It appeared that a significant but temporary river, likely formed by a series of unusually wet seasons or a temporary geological shift, had once flowed through the area. This ghost river would have been deep and wide enough to support a vessel of the ship's size for a brief period in history. With this new ghost river theory in hand, the narrative started to come together. The ship was likely a keelboat or a similar type of flat-bottom trading vessel, designed to navigate the shallow inland waterways of the American frontier. The crew might have been pioneering a new, uncharted trade route, pushing further inland than anyone had before. Perhaps they were loaded with goods, heading for a distant settlement when disaster struck. The most plausible scenario is that the water levels of this temporary river dropped suddenly and unexpectedly. The crew would have found their ship hopelessly grounded. Stranded in the middle of nowhere with no hope of refloating their massive vessel, they would have had no choice but to salvage what they could carry and abandon the ship, leaving it to be slowly reclaimed by the earth. This theory explains not only the ship's location, but also the state in which it was found. The lack of more valuable items like navigational tools or personal valuables suggests the crew had time to strip the vessel before they left. They took what was essential for their survival and their journey on foot, leaving behind the heavy, cumbersome hull and items of lesser value. Over the next 2 centuries, the ghost river dried up completely, and the landscape changed. Silt and soil washed over the abandoned ship, burying it deeper and deeper, until all visible trace of it, and the river it sailed on, vanished from sight and from memory. It became a local legend, then a forgotten whisper, and finally, nothing but farmland. The discovery has fundamentally rewritten the local history of that region. It proves that the area was accessible by water much earlier and more extensively than previously believed. It offers a tangible link to the brave and often anonymous pioneers who risked everything to expand the boundaries of their world. This ship is a silent monument to their ambition and ultimately their misfortune. The story is a powerful reminder that the landscape beneath our feet is not static. It is a living document, constantly being written and rewritten by the forces of nature and the hands of history. What was once a river can become a field, and what was once lost can, with a bit of luck and a lot of digging, be found again. The work on the site is far from over. Conservators are now faced with the monumental task of preserving the waterlogged timbers. Once removed from their stable underground environment, the wood can quickly deteriorate. The plan is to carefully transport the sections to a specialized lab where they will undergo a years-long process of treatment and stabilization. The hope is that one day, the ship can be partially reassembled and put on display in a museum, allowing the public to come face to face with this incredible piece of lost history. It will stand as a testament to a forgotten river, a failed voyage, and a stunning archaeological discovery that almost never happened. It reminds us that there are still so many secrets buried right under our noses, just waiting for the right moment to be revealed. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey back in time. What do you think happened to the crew after they abandoned their ship? Let me know your theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more explorations of fascinating historical mysteries, please give us a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.